If there's one insect that makes most people sprint out of the kitchen faster than a contestant on a cooking show about to set their apron on fire, it's the cockroach. Just the word is enough to give many of us goosebumps. But beyond their freaky antennae and Olympic-level survival skills, there's one question that keeps creeping up. Do cockroaches actually bite people? And if they do, what happens next? Brace yourself. We're diving into the surprisingly weird world of cockroach bites. You'll laugh, you'll shiver, and you'll definitely want to wash your hands after reading. When do cockroaches decide to bite? Cockroaches are night owls. They live for the cover of darkness, the quiet hum of your refrigerator, and that moment when you finally drift off into dreamland. If a roach does bite, it almost always happens while you're sleeping, which means some unfortunate souls have woken up, scratched their cheeks, and discovered a mysterious itchy bump that wasn't there the night before. Surprise! It wasn't the tooth fairy, it was a cockroach with bad manners. That said, cockroach bites aren't part of their daily routine. They aren't sitting around plotting dinner menus that include your fingers. Biting a human is Plan Z, reserved for desperate times when food is scarce or when an infestation has turned your home into the insect equivalent of Times Square. So while it's technically possible to wake up with a cockroach hickey, the odds are about as low as finding a Wi-Fi signal in the middle of the desert. Where do they bite? As horrifying as the thought is, cockroaches have favorite places to nibble. They tend to go for the face, mouth, hands, and fingers. Why? Because those areas often carry the scent of food. If you've ever fallen asleep with cookie crumbs on your lip or chips dusting your fingertips, congratulations, you just turned yourself into a late-night buffet. To a cockroach, that's like leaving the open 24/7 neon sign blinking over your body. The good news is that simply washing your hands and face before bedtime does wonders to reduce your attractiveness as a potential snack. Think of it as brushing your teeth not just for dental hygiene, but also as a polite way of saying, "Sorry, roaches, the kitchen is closed." Cockroach bites versus other bug bites. So what does a cockroach bite look like? Well, imagine a mosquito bite that's been hitting the gym, or a bed bug bite that decided to overachieve. Cockroach bites tend to be larger, itchier, and more swollen than their insect competitors. If you've got a mysterious bite that looks like it's auditioning for a starring role in a medical drama, it might just be from a roach. Cockroaches don't just bite, they bite hard. Pound for pound, they're impressive little chompers with a bite force 50 times their own body weight. To put that in perspective, that would be like you casually biting through a car tire. Thankfully, their bite doesn't hurt nearly that much, and many people don't even notice until the morning. But still, knowing that a bug the size of your thumb can crunch with superhero strength is enough to make you sleep with one eye open. How likely is it that you'll get bitten? Now, for the part that will help you unclench your jaw, cockroach bites are extremely rare. Historically, there have only been a handful of recorded cases where cockroaches actually bit people. And in almost all of those cases, the bites occurred in homes so overrun with roaches that they probably should have been condemned or featured on a reality TV show about pest control nightmares. In the average home, where you occasionally see a lone roach scuttle across the floor, the odds of a bite are practically zero. Cockroaches are opportunistic scavengers. They'd much rather chew on crumbs under the toaster than take on a living, breathing human. So unless you're storing nachos on your pillowcase or sleeping in the middle of a cockroach metropolis, you really don't have to worry. What to do? If a cockroach does bite you, but let's say, for the sake of argument, that you have been chosen by fate. You wake up, notice a red, itchy bump, and suspect your local roach community decided you were on the menu. What should you do? First, don't panic. Roach bites aren't venomous, and they don't carry magical curses. They're mostly just irritating and itchy. The first step is to wash the area with soap and water, because cleanliness is your best defense against infection. After that, Some people swear by lemon juice. Yes, you read that right, lemon juice. It's not just for cocktails and salad dressings. It can actually reduce itching and swelling. Of course, if you've scratched the bite raw, pouring lemon juice on it will sting worse than realizing you accidentally texted your boss instead of your friend. Another old school trick is ice. Applying a cold compress will calm the itch and reduce swelling. If you prefer something more clinical, hydrogen peroxide or rubbing alcohol can sterilize the area and keep bacteria at bay. And for those who find the itching unbearable, over-the-counter medications like ibuprofen or antihistamines can step in as reinforcements. Most bites heal on their own in a few days. But if you notice unusual swelling, pus, or symptoms that make you look like you're turning into a balloon animal, it's time to call a doctor. Better safe than sorry. How to avoid ever becoming cockroach chow. Now for the million-dollar question. How do you make sure you're never bitten in the first place? The answer is surprisingly simple. Stop inviting roaches to dinner. Cockroaches bite out of desperation, which means the cleaner and less accessible your home is to them, the less likely you'll ever have to deal with a bite. One easy trick is to avoid eating in bed. Yes, we know midnight snacks are a sacred ritual, but those cookie crumbs you leave behind are basically love letters to cockroaches. Seal your food in airtight containers instead of flimsy cardboard boxes, because roaches can chew through packaging faster than a toddler through wrapping paper on Christmas morning. And don't forget about pet food. Leaving Fido's kibble out overnight is like setting up a buffet for every roach in the neighborhood. The other big step is cleanliness. Wipe down counters, sweep up crumbs, and tackle dirty dishes before bed. A clean kitchen is a cockroach's worst nightmare. And if you see more than the occasional straggler, it may be time to bring in professional reinforcements. Exterminators aren't just people with bug spray. They're highly trained pest detectives who can stop an infestation before it becomes a full-blown horror story. Why you don't want cockroaches around. Anyway, even if you never get bitten, having roaches around is a bad idea. They're not just gross. They're walking petri dishes. These insects spend their free time crawling through garbage, bathrooms, and even sewers, picking up all sorts of bacteria and diseases along the way. And guess where they bring those germs? Yep, right onto your countertops and utensils. To make matters worse, cockroaches also trigger allergies and asthma. Their shed skin, saliva, and droppings are basically microscopic irritants floating around your house. And don't even get started on their ability to reproduce. If you see one roach, there are probably dozens hiding just out of sight, plotting their next move. So while the fear of a bite might be overblown, the real reason to keep roaches out is everything else they bring to the table. And trust me, you don't want anything they're serving. Should you worry about cockroach bites? So, should you spend your nights lying awake in fear of a cockroach sneaking up and biting you? Not at all. The odds are vanishingly small, and most people will go their entire lives without experiencing one. But if it does happen, rest assured it's not the end of the world. Treat the bite, clean your house, and maybe invest in an exterminator if you've got too many six-legged house guests. At the end of the day, cockroaches would rather munch on crumbs than humans. They're opportunists, not predators. So the next time you see one scurrying across the floor, remember, it's not out for blood, it's out for your leftover pizza crust, which, frankly, makes it more of a rude roommate than a monster. So, there you have it, the creepy, crawly truth about cockroach bites. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, stay pest-free, and remember, keep the crumbs in the kitchen, not in your bed. See you next time.